been a solid, like, 4 months.
For real. You almost caught me mid-yawn. It would have been real bad. If you would have just, hey, y'all, I'd have been on a straight yawn.
We talked about having energy right before this video.
We did. And, yeah, it's been a long week for me, so I'm burning on midnight oil. So let's get into it.
Sure. So, not that you had a long week, so now we're getting it. Yes. Okay. So, yes, it's been 4 months. So, last video was in February. I believe it was shortly after Valentine's Day.
No, right before. Oh, yeah, that might be right.
Yeah, that was right. Yeah, it was right before Valentine's Day because we were training for the mission trip, which we did in March.
Correct.
So, for a few minutes, we're just going to give, like, kind of the big highlights over the past 4 months and then talk about kind of where we are now, our boundaries updates, that sort of thing, like where we are with them, how we've been combating and fighting the good fights. Yeah, and just anything else that kind of comes to our hearts and minds by the Holy Spirit. So, Justin, if you want to kick us off with anything.
Okay, well, let's do it.
Big.
She has some type of expectation for this. So, here we go. You ready? You ready? For those of you that don't know us or have been around us or have conversated with us over the last 4 months, we talked about something big. Big, like, pow, like, whoa.
We've been dating for 8 months now, if you haven't.
As of yesterday.
As of yesterday.
So, we've talked about engagement.
Not engaged yet.
Yeah,
but...
she ain't got no ring. Ain't got no money for that. At least not yet. It's a process, though. Trust the process. So, we went to Florida. We were driving there.
It's around month 5.5.
I told her, good. Boom. Anyways, so we went there. And we were driving, and I told her a couple weeks before, I said, we're going to talk about engagement. And I told her early, I think maybe the first month, I said, well, it's the 6-month mark. We might
You didn't mention that.
Did I not?
No.
I'm pretty sure I did.
You did not.
Either way, yes. It came up sometime along. I said, 6 months.
No, it didn't.
We're going to talk. Somewhere in that range. She doesn't have to remember it. I remember it.
You remember? Yeah, I remember you saying, hey, when that time comes, we're going to have a conversation about engagement, but you never said, like...
Oh, okay. Well, I knew when the time was. Obviously, I didn't communicate that.
Which was good, though, I think, that he didn't say.
Nonetheless, 2 weeks before we had the conversation, I told her, because she's a planner, and I wanted her to be able to gather her thoughts.
What really happened was I kept bugging him. I was like, do you know a timeline? He was like, oh, yeah, you know, sometime before 2019 or 2020.
I had to lie.
And he was like messing with me, right? And so
I
was
had to
like,
lie, 'cause
but my other friends know. So how come I can't know a timeline? Just something. This is my life we're talking about. And then the day that he told me, he's like, look, Rikki, I plan to have this conversation with you
next
in 2
week.
weeks. So
Yeah. And that's what happens when you start pressing people. You get your feelings hurt. And then she got all upset, and then I was just like, yo, if you just wouldn't press me, you know, things would come in their time. The Lord is sovereign and providentially in control, so just rest assured in that divine wisdom and intercession into the world. Not intercession, involvement, interjection, that's it. Nonetheless, so we had a good conversation. I asked her, I said, hey, how do you feel about engagement at this point? And you said?
I don't remember.
Of course.
I think I was just like, yeah, I feel like we're headed in that direction because I thought we've been building a strong foundation, like spiritually, emotionally, all that, and just with like where the Lord has us. So I was like, yeah, I mean, dating with intentions from the start, like I already had this in the mindset that this conversation would be coming at some point. So I was like, yeah, I feel like this would be a good next step.
So after that, I asked her why she thought that I would be a good man to marry. And I did.
Oh.
Then I told her why I thought she would be a good woman to marry. And then I told her, I said, look, okay, so if we're moving forward in this, and this is the window from August to October, preferably October. I said, I'm not playing guess who with this ring situation. I said, you need to tell me what you want.
You didn't say what August to October would mean, though.
What?
Or like, I don't know if it was clear. It might have been
The timeline of when I'm getting on a knee.
Okay. Alright. I just want to be. I want it to be clear.
Okay. I know. Yeah, so she's currently in the process of figuring out what she wants. I think she thinks she knows, but I don't think she's done yet. I don't think she's done. She's gonna come across something great.
Well, so I have been looking at rings for the past few weeks, and yeah, like I like something a little bit different, like unique, but not like flashy, and something that's like bohemian style, kind of, sort of, just different. So I'm going ring shopping, or ring looking with one of my potential bridesmaids or future bridesmaids and family. So should be good. Next Friday.
So that's exciting. So that's where we've been. But while we were in Florida, all the excitement, is vigor the right word? I don't know. All the excitement from the engagement.
Conversation.
Really? Conversation. The engagement conversation. I think just had some, what's the word? Had us in our feels. Just said less. I don't really like when people say that.
I like
that. Sounds really uneducated.
Wow!
I'm not saying that you're uneducated. I've thought that for years, like in my feels. Is that even English? Anyways, it had
your feelings.
It had our emotions running like a train.
Okay.
Anyways, right? So they were really going. And so it was a little, I don't want to call it an incident because it wasn't an incident.
Oh gosh.
But there was something that was just like, yeah, that's not cool. So she gonna share that.
All that build up for me to share.
Kick us off.
So,
kick us off.
Boy, we already have 7 minutes.
Okay.
So, he came and stayed with my family to meet them officially, like my grandparents and everything. So we live in Florida, and it's a pretty decent sized home. So he stayed in the guest room, and I stayed with my sister in her room. And so I was like, yeah, I'm definitely not going to the room at night. None of that. That's just not okay. And mind you, our boundaries, again, are not kissing until the wedding day, not holding hands. Anything past kissing is like obvious no, but we do cuddle and snuggle and all that. And so... more so cuddle.
With pillows.
With pillows in between us most days when
we're... Or her purse.
Okay. That was last night. So in the morning, like the first morning, I was like, oh, hey, good morning. And the door was open. He was still under the covers and stuff, like reading his Bible. And so I just said good morning, was standing next to him outside the bed. And I was like, okay, cool. I was like, all right, I'll see you downstairs for breakfast. And it was quick. The next morning, he was gone with some men's group thing at the church. The third morning, I came in there, same thing. He was under the sheets. I was on top, like, of the bed, like, sitting on the corner of the bed, and we were just talking. And then my sister came in there, whatever, and it was cool. But then the last morning, I get a text from Mr. Brew that was like, hey, if you want to come say good morning, I just woke up. And part of me was like, don't go in there. And the other part was like, but why? Whatever. We're about to leave. It's okay. It's the last morning. So I go in there, and I was like, I'm just going to get a little snuggle. So he was, like, under the sheets, but I was on top of the sheets. And he's like, if you get under these sheets, you are getting off this bed. I was like, but why? I just want to snuggle. So I didn't get under the sheets. But we were cuddling for about an hour and talking. And nothing happened. Like, we didn't break any boundaries. It just wasn't a safe situation. And my sister came in there at some point, was hanging out with us, so like, and we had the door open. We weren't trying to hide anything or be crazy. Like, literally, we just sat there and talked and like cuddled. And at some point, he was like, "Isn't this great that we can like be in the bed and not cut up and not break any boundaries or anything?" I was like, "Yeah, this is great." So then, we get back to Atlanta, and again, no boundaries were broken. We were just really cuddly most of the weekend, so that's why I was like, that wasn't the healthiest thing. And so when we got back to Atlanta, one of my friends was like, that was stupid. Why were y'all in the bed? I was like, well, we weren't under the covers. It was like, it doesn't matter. Y'all put yourselves in a stupid situation to trust yourselves. Like, don't trust yourself to do right when, there's temptation and stuff. And so I was like, Justin, if we have to say, hey, isn't it cool that we can be in this dangerous situation and not cut up, then we shouldn't be in that dangerous situation. Like, it's like, no. And what other time would I be waking up and cuddling with him in the morning other than when we're married? Like, that's not a practical thing that would actually happen. So why are we, like, doing that, So we made the rule for whenever there's another sleepover at our house, like, don't go in the room at all. So anyways, leading into like our boundaries now. So that was 5.5, around 5.5 months. And I think at that point we're like, all right, like how do we make sure that our boundaries can get us to the finish line? Like, what do we need to do? Do we need to like tighten things up, or like, you know, where do we need to make adjustments so that we're able to sustain this for the next, you know, 9-10 months or so, until we get married. So yeah, that's kind of that. And now we've made a lot of revisions. So things that we were okay with doing, we kind of stopped because we're like, hey, like this makes me want to like kiss you, or this is too close, or like it's just like anything. Like if the boundary itself is like, okay, no kissing, like no kissing, no holding hands, you know, all that stuff was here. Then we want to have like a safe zone around that so that like we're not tempted to do those things, and then like be on the outside of the other safe zone so that like we're in the clear. And we don't do this perfectly, but yeah, we have a list of things that are just real specific, but we also have like 3 like rule of thumbs that we both have saved on our like screensaver or whatever to help us remember like the why, which is what was the first one? Honor one another and like edify one another. So it's like, oh man, if I'm thinking like, all right, how do I honor Justin and how we interacted today, or with my language, how do I edify my brother? So if I'm doing those things, like I'm not going to want to tempt my brother or, you know, do him wrong in any way like that. Second one is being set apart. So it's like, how can our interactions, if other people are watching us, be set apart from like the world's interactions, or just like how other people that don't really have boundaries or don't have boundaries that we do or whatever. And not that other boundaries are bad. It's just saying like, how can we just be set apart as Christians in the way that we interact as boyfriend and girlfriend? The third one is like, would we feel comfortable interacting if other people were watching? And I'm more on this one. It's like, I'm always like, oh no, like I don't want people to see us. It's like, even if it's not bad, it's like, okay, even if you're just cuddling, if you feel uncomfortable with someone is watching you, then just don't do that. Like, it's an easy way to avoid doing things that like might be okay but just aren't the safest thing to do. And to be honest, like, yeah, like some days, like last night, I just wasn't like fully aware. I think we have to like fight to be like aware and present and not trust ourselves. Because I think most times I can easily trust myself, like, oh, we're just hanging. So like we celebrated his birthday yesterday with friends and family all day, and at night when I was taking him home, you know, like I just got a little handsy and just wanted to embrace and things that just weren't okay. And so again, we didn't break any boundaries, but we were just like not, you know.
Stiff arm.
So he didn't do that yesterday, but he's like, all right, you gotta go. You gotta leave.
Pretty much.
Now.
It was, you know, the verbal stiff arm.
He's like you gotta go.
Get out, and I'll peer at you through the lattices.
Right.
We've been studying Song of Solomon, so it's a reference to that.
And there have been times, because Justin's very black and white with upholding our boundaries. So there have been times.
That's funny, black and white.
He's half black and half white, so yes. But he's very much like the one of my other friends called her fiance the militant. Like, he's very just like, all right, this is what we're doing. So if I mess around too much, he'll rebuke me most times like kindly, and other times, you know, he'll push me off the couch or whatever. But
nah, don't throw no shade like that.
No,
I mean, it's real, but it's just yeah. But it's real. I pushed her off the couch twice.
So we've had to talk about that. I was like, there's other ways to communicate that, or you can get off the couch. Why you gotta push me off the couch?
It's because I was there first.
Okay. Anyway, so yeah, like one of them was like, yeah, like it's not safe for us to cuddle alone, which we don't do often, but the times that we do, we're like, yeah, we're not doing that anymore. So we cuddle with company. But anyways, that's our boundaries update. Anything you want to share?
Even in being the law keeper, so to speak, I'm learning to be kind. You can't just be pushing people off couches and bopping them upside the head softly, not abusing Rikki or anything. So she rebukes me, and we've had to learn really how to handle our differences in personality and expressiveness. Because it's like, if we think about the 5 love languages, that's kind of the language that I know we use often. And so, like, for her, physical touch is a 1. For me, physical touch is a 4. So when she starts doing them, oh, I just get like, real agitated. And so she'll do it, and I'll be like, you need to stop. And she'll be like, oh,
I like to like playfully annoy him sometimes.
in my face. And I don't like it. And so one time I was like, you need to stop. And I like bopped her. Because she was like right here trying to do stuff. I was like, stop. And she was like, you just smacked me in the face. And then we had a long conversation about
He
it.
didn't like actually smack me in the face.
It was like a bop. Bop it. Twist it.
Okay.
Pull it. Ooh. Anyway, that's it. They have the new one now, new bop it. You like sing it and pick it up phone.
Okay.
Anyways, so yeah, so we've had to figure out kind of how to handle conflict, and not just get upset, like with, and be agitated with like differences, but learn to like celebrate it and embrace it, and be patient with them, and sometimes even just communicate like, I don't like that, but it's what you do, and so I appreciate you. I don't do that often, but I'm trying to do it, and it's hard because when she starts flicking me in the nose and stuff, I don't love it. I'm just like, this isn't something. I'm just like, yay! I'm like, get out of my face. I call her a little gnat sometimes. I'm like, you're like a little gnat. You just keep boop flying around your face and nose. But I think she kind of likes it. So
Sometimes I just like to play around. I think overall, like with conflicts, because we've had some disputes over the past few weeks or so, and we're actually in pre-engagement counseling, so we have like our 5th session in a couple weeks. So we've been,
no.
Fourth session in a couple weeks. So we've been walking with the family, the Millers, and they've been really great. And so we've been talking about conflict, and I think like it's been helpful just knowing that like it's a lot of like dying to self, like, all right, how can I consider this other person, like where they are, like understand where they're coming from, and being like slow to speak and quick to listen, and how do I care for like his heart, and be like, all right, like don't be selfish in this moment, where is he coming from, like how can I like show him respect and honor in the situation, and same with me, like he'll try to understand where I'm coming from, and it's been good. And I think it's just like we had a conversation a couple weeks ago where we had to like be like, look, I feel like we've had like built up things that we haven't shared, that kind of, it didn't explode, but it was like, look, I'm getting a little heavy with these things that we haven't shared, because on the front end we were very like adamant about like anytime there's any issue, just bringing it up so that we can squash it. And so I think now we're just trying to be proactive and continuing to do that so we can continue to have healthy communication. So yeah.
Fighting fair.
Yeah.
It was cool. So we had a conversation about conflict like Friday or something, like Thursday, one of those days. And we talked about a lot of then there was a sermon on conflict from Solomon, Song of Solomon 5 and 6. And the exact same stuff that came out of our mouth, maybe with a few different verbiage, was the exact same thing that Heidi was preaching about. And so it was so timely and good and consistent, I think, from our mouths and the Miller's mouths, and then to Dahadi and Angie. And so, I would check that out, because I think I love, even in the first point of his sermon, and even I've said it to friends, is just like conflict, it's inevitable. And I know people are like, if you're not fighting, then you're not in a good relationship. I wouldn't go that far, but know that if you are fighting, it's okay. It doesn't necessarily mean that you need to break up. Now, if it gets way out of line, then maybe you need to talk about it. But on the front end, like, know that it's gonna happen, and it's gonna be like that for the rest of your life. And so you have to learn how to do it well and understand her or him, and be able to reconcile, and not just let your anger cause you to sin or fly off the handle, or not love someone in the way that the gospel calls us to love them, or as Christ loved the church, and things like that. So, it's been a joy to have to. You hurt my feelings again.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's a sanctifying thing, just to be like, I really suck, and I'm gonna hurt you.
What?
Yeah, that was like the most affirming head shake. You suck, but yeah, you do. It'll be funny. You'll go back and watch this and be like, oh wow, you suck like.
I mean, like we both suck. I'm agreeing for myself.
Okay. I probably suck more than she does. Cause I have found that I make her mad more than she makes me mad.
It's not the same.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so.
I annoy you more and you make me upset.
Oh, okay. I think sometimes the scale of it looks different.
Okay.
That's why I think that.
Okay.
But nonetheless, it's gonna happen. There's ways to do it well. There's ways to not do it well. And so we're fighting to fight fair. And be considerate and respectful and grateful for the way that God has created us so that we can live fully and embrace one another for who each other is. And continue to feel the freedom to be our weird selves. So, yeah.
I do have one last update.
I win. Ha ha! Every time we have a thumb war, who wins? Me.
Not all the time.
Don't lie. Anytime it's official, she'll be like, ah, I win. I'm like, no, you didn't declare it.
It doesn't matter.
It does
it
matter.
Happens.
That's why they have a song. 1, 2, 3, 4. I declare a thumb war.
Is that a song?
Yeah.
Or like.
It's a jingle.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. I declare a thumb war. 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm gonna eat your cake.
Pretty sure it's not it.
This will be a piece of cake. But because I win, that's why I take her cake.
Okay. All right. Last final thoughts, because we are 20 minutes in.
Hey, we're recapping.
But it's been it's been 4 months since our last one. So again, we don't say I love you.
Nope.
No. And we talked about this a little bit in the podcast that we featured on, which you should go listen to. It's Blueprint Church's app. There's a podcast on there. But yeah, and again, like, we're not kissing until the wedding day, and we do like, so the only kiss affection that we do show is we'll make contact with the hair. At first we did try the forehead, and we're like, that's too much, that's too tempting, that's my face. So
then she tried to just
get her beard. I was like, well, that's your hair.
No.
And he's like, no, that's still my face. Stop. So we'll just do that because I like to give. I'm sorry. I like to give smooches, so that's been safe for us because it's not. I mean, it's just awkward. So it's not like, Anyways.
It's like.
So we found some freedom in being able to continue to grow in our intimacy in ways that, for us, is pretty okay. But anyway, so yeah, we don't say I love you, and we don't do those other things. I think it's been helpful, and again, the main reason not saying I love you because.
It's an expression and commitment to covenant love. And by covenant love, I mean the kind of love that says divorce is not an option, separation is not an option, and I'm with you till the end. The same kind that God expresses towards us in the gospel, and expressed towards the nation of Israel through the Abraham covenant. Such as such. Genesis 15, that kind of thing. It's good stuff.
So in saying it sooner than that, it can just not be healthy.
Oh, I lied. Genesis 12.
It can just not be healthy, and just like, it can be saying something that you're not ready to commit to, and that may just not be helpful. But also, like, I think in us not saying it, and in us not showing some affection that, like, is super frustrating not to be able to show. But it's been really, really, really helpful, I think, with our pacing. It's like, okay, like, we're looking at engagement sometime in the fall, looking at marriage sometime in the spring. Cool, but that's still, like, 9 months, So, like, how do we continue to keep our pacing at a healthy pace? And how do we just still guard our hearts? Like, it's like, okay, he's not my husband. And still, like, not now, so he's my brother, and he's my friend, and we're heading towards marriage, but we're not there. So there's a lot of things you still have to do to guard your heart, like, emotionally, physically, all these things, to, like, keep in a healthy spot. And I think it's helpful, too, because it's like I say, like, oh, he's my man's, but, like, he's not mine. And he won't be mine until there's 2 rings on this finger and a ring on his.
High five!
And so right now it's like, yeah, like,
Did
I
you
know
say 2 on mine?
2 on mine and 1 on yours.
Okay.
And so it's like, yeah, like, we're dating towards marriage, and it's like a lot like friendship towards marriage. And it's really helpful because, like, oh, I get to know you. Every now and again, I get tripped up on. I'm like, oh, like I just want to like be romantic. I feel like we sucked all the romance out of this whole process. But it's like, I mean, there are days when it's not. It's like, okay, we still get to cuddle. That's nice. Or like we still get to go for walks and stuff. So it's just weeks where it's harder. I remind myself, I was like, oh, this is the why. Like we're not trying to suck something out of it to make this a miserable thing. But it's like we're protecting something later so that like when we do get married, it's like, yo, we have freedom. We could do whatever. We can show all the affection we want. And it just be totally amazing and beautiful. And so it's just like, all right, Lord, get us there. Like I can sacrifice not going on some dates that I would want to go on, or not, you know, doing or showing affection or whatever for the sake of like preserving something later that could be beautiful and glorious there. And so it's helpful because, yeah, it's really helpful. Yeah.
That's it. You did a good job explaining that.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
But we do say like, I care for you, or I like you, that sort of thing.
That's right.
He's a grandpa, low-key, but
Hey.
I still love him.
I mean, you're older now. Gives you more freedom to be grandpa like.
Anywho.
I can't wait to have a cane. Just making that note. Even if I don't need one, I'm getting one.
No.
Just so you know.
No.
Anyways, you had something?
No.
Okay.
We'll see y'all next month, hopefully.
Yeah. No, next month. Not hopefully. No, it's happening.
Okay.
We've decided we're gonna not only prioritize this time, but we're scheduling it and guarding it.
Guarding it.
People if they wanna invade, it's like that Wakanda bubble. Things hit. Boom! It's not happening.
Okay. On that
All
note.
right. You told me to bring the energy.
You brought it.
I
Thank
brought
you.
it. I'm here. I'm here. But anyways, that Wakanda bubble is amazing. So that's how I want to guard it. We want to keep something on the outside that keeps things from getting in, so that it will be protected and secure, and being able to bless you guys and hopefully people for years to come.
All right, y'all. If you've watched to this point, you're awesome.
You're
I wish I could say I have something for you. I don't, but
Yeah.
thank y'all. Bye.